Hi, I'm Harrison Marsh. I'm a guitar teacher and an examiner for the London College of Music. I thought it would be interesting today to talk about guitar lessons and music lessons via Skype or FaceTime. With the recent coronavirus, there's a lot of discussion on social media and things about this, but these lessons are something that I've been running to students around the world for the last 6 years, and they can work really well for a wide range of students. So really this video is for any teacher or student that wants to know more about Skype or FaceTime lessons and is trying to work out whether it's for them and how to get ready and make the most out of those lessons. Music lessons over the internet are something that can be just as good as face-to-face lessons for a lot of students, but there are some pros and cons and lots of differences that students and teachers need to be aware of. And some of those are things that we've learnt how to deal with over the last couple of years of me teaching via Skype. So probably the biggest difference in guitar lessons and music lessons is what I've heard referred to as Skype's politeness filter, the one-way nature of the microphone. So if a student is talking or playing, or if there's significant background noise, they can't hear me until there's a silence and the microphone switches over. Occasionally, if a student is unaware of that, I might have to sort of hold up my hand so they become aware that I need whatever noise is stopping that to stop in order for me to speak. And it also prevents student and teacher being able to play together, perhaps as you normally would in a face-to-face lesson. What this means in practical terms is, as a teacher, I have to be a little bit more organised for that lesson. Anytime I want to hear a student play over an accompaniment, it has to be pre-recorded and emailed to that student, which is something I do a lot. And for any teachers that are new to this way of teaching, I've got the ability, I've got a small home studio that allows me to record backing tracks bespoke to that student or that lesson, which is really useful, although lots of backing tracks are available through other means. And I've also got notation software that allows me to write sheet music and chord diagrams and anything a student might need, and send it out at least 24 hours before the lesson. And it's helpful if students have got the ability to print that if they find it easiest to have the music on a sheet music stand in front of them. So another one of the differences between face-to-face and Skype is, because of that organisation and that lesson plan being a little bit more rigid, anytime you go off topic, that might be because a teacher is answering a question that a student has, or maybe a student has started the lesson by asking to study a particular topic or a particular piece. You can go off your lesson plan and off topic, but you're not going to have the sheet music or whatever diagram in front of you, and you might have to follow up that lesson by sending something after the lesson. So it can be done, but it really helps with these lessons to be a little bit more organised than you might be for face-to-face lessons, where you're used to being able to go off topic more freely. So what do you need for Skype lessons? Well, obviously both of you need a computer, laptop or iPad with camera and microphone, but these days almost any computer's built-in camera and audio will be good enough for you to get the most out of the lesson. There are options for anybody that wants multiple camera angles for a lesson. Improving lighting can be useful. You can always plug in microphones that are perhaps better than the ones built into the Mac if possible. But I find for most lessons, none of that is necessary for the student to get the most out of the lesson. All of mine are done on my new iMac, and I've never had any problems with the camera or audio quality impacting the lesson in a negative way. If students have some form of making notes so that they can remember what's been said in the lesson and remember what to practice, that's always useful, but that's always the same for my face-to-face lessons as well with my students. One of the things that my teaching room provides me that is really important for my students and for me is it's a quiet, organised room that's free of distractions. And if students perhaps don't have an area of their home or wherever they're working that's free of distraction and quiet enough, that can be a problem. But really the requirements for a teacher or for a student to get the most out of Skype lessons are pretty minimal. As I say, the software that I use to record backing tracks or to write teaching materials for students are all things that I use in my day-to-day life as a teacher and as a musician. So who are they good for? I think lessons over the internet can work really well for most students. Obviously for anybody with mobility issues, or if they work away from home during the week or something where coming to a teacher just isn't an option, they're a great idea. In the current coronavirus outbreak, they're a really good way of keeping isolated and staying healthy and away from people whilst still letting lessons continue. But as I say, I started this over 6 years ago, and a lot of my Skype lessons are done on an ad hoc basis for existing students who usually come to me for a face-to-face lesson, or students that are away on business for an amount of time or work in other countries or are simply too far away to be able to get to me on a permanent lesson basis. And they're also great for ad hoc lessons. Maybe your job doesn't allow you to have regular lessons, or you are a semi-professional player that just has lots of questions that wants one lesson or a block of lessons to get a teacher's input on something. And Skype's a really easy tool for that to be possible. One of the great assets of introducing Skype lessons as part of your working life as a teacher, and great for students, is the ability to specialise. As soon as you are not limited to who is in your area, you have a much wider available number of great teachers as a student, and from a teaching point of view, you can teach more on the subjects that you are a specialist on rather than being all-rounder. So for myself, I'm not a sweep picker or a shred electric guitar player, so anybody looking to book lessons with me on those styles of music, I'm going to politely send you to somebody that knows more about it. Whereas composition and arrangement for fingerstyle guitar, classical guitar, and fingerstyle playing in general is something that I've spent a lot of time on, and I teach a lot, and my Skype lessons allow me to be much more specialised and focused to students around the world. I also do a lot of work with the London College of Music. I helped edit and compile their new acoustic syllabus. So I've done a lot of questions that are specific to that syllabus and lessons for other teachers that might be working towards teaching diplomas or just want to improve their teaching, whether that be their knowledge of the syllabus or knowledge of teaching in general. So for instruments including mandolin and banjo, certainly in the UK, it's really hard to find good quality teachers that provide knowledge and lessons on those instruments. Compared to the guitar or the piano. So Skype's a really great option if you have interest in an instrument where there simply isn't a teacher in your area. So how my lessons work, I have some time dedicated to my regular weekly students, and all of my face-to-face students are welcome to have a Skype lesson for a multitude of reasons at any time. And then I have dedicated Skype lessons that are always full, but they are for non-regular students or people that might book a block of 6 or 8 or 12 weeks to discuss a particular subject. So my lessons are always given in UK time, although if I send you an email with a calendar, like the calendar app will do the time conversion for you for anyone overseas, For overseas students, lessons are paid for in advance by PayPal, and for UK students, they're paid for in advance by bank transfer. And wherever I possibly can, if a student's not had a lesson with me before, I'll find a convenient time to do like a quick 2-minute test call just to make sure that the connection issues get resolved so it doesn't bite into lesson time. And on the rare occasion that a call drops out or a lesson is impacted by poor signal or what have you, then I will rebook for a lesson in the same week. So I do lessons with people from about 8 o'clock in the morning UK time right through to 10 o'clock at night. So I try and accommodate for people in different time zones. And I teach electric, acoustic, bass, classical, ukulele, and a little bit of piano. One thing that you will need if you're teaching piano is a second camera so the students can see the keyboard. We're really lucky as guitar players in that the built-in camera on my iMac, for example, can show sometimes more clearly than in a face-to-face lesson exactly where my fingers are going, and it's easy for students to show what their hands are doing. Really important for students to remember that it's more important in a Skype lesson for me to see your hands than it is your face. I hope that's been useful. If you've got any questions about Skype lessons relating to music lessons or guitar lessons, please leave them in the comments below and look out for more videos we do.